done and that sort of thing. And that's is that an entrepreneurial spirit? And is that something that might be there among human beings far more than we give credit to them for having and possessing? And that they get these microcredit things where a woman will get a sewing machine and she can get a little something going. And that sort of thing should be encouraged much more than it has been by the big shots running the banks and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hanging out with them, so I don't know, but that's exactly what you just addressed was exactly the point, which, like that, if I in Los Angeles had to start a music career with basically the same principle of you know, in those
microcredit.
I mean, I launched this whole thing without credit. There was
which whole thing now you're talking?
The whole music career, all these years was done without credit. It was all
just gumption and initiative and to do it.
And I would have to say that was
talent.
Silicon Valley. You know, if I hadn't grown up around Silicon Valley and seen friends succeed with Apple computers, succeed with Lotus software, succeed with inventing the mouse, those were all people around me. So I was used to that kind of, you know, work out of a garage and then the next week you're worth 60
Well,
million.
Silicon Valley, particularly during the boom, it was associated with the entrepreneurial thing. Didn't you say your dad was involved with Hewlett and Packard or something? Which was
it was a customer. So when my dad changed careers, when computers started to take over what he said the typographer.
But you think it might be, as Bobby Dylan used to say, blowing in the wind, that there will be some economic changes in the way we think. You know, I think that's probably called for, particularly when you got half the population on less than $2 a day, and a lot of our experts say that the way the system is set up, I guess it's always been. In the Roman Emperor time, there was the emperor. Most of the people, a third at least of the people in Rome were slaves. They were slaves in Athens, ancient Athens, and so forth. It's always been like that. In the time of the kings were there, serfs that were starving and everything. And it's always been a few who've controlled things, and they run things, and then the people don't have much of a say. But I think the initiative and the imperative of the people being recognized as important in a way that is not been characteristic of history is becoming more and more in the consciousness of greater numbers of people that are becoming greater and greater opinion-setting capability in the society, that something new is needed for the least advantaged people of this world, beginning with perhaps an appropriate empathetic appreciation of the situation, right?
Yeah, sure.
Don't you think?
Sure.
And you've had, you know what I'm saying, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, and that's a big awakening almost, right?
Well, you know, especially we are a democracy.
Well,
so we want, you know, number one, the human spirit, I don't know if, you won't say it's tied to capitalism. I think that is the natural human spirit to want to rise above, to want to do better, to want to provide for their children. To improve for
yourself and your children and for your better, and for people in general, you'd want them to improve.
And if you add a certain portion of those people, it doesn't matter where in the world, are creative, a certain are entrepreneurial, a certain are more spiritual, and all these people are starting to realize
la difference.
Yeah.
That there's so much difference. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
And that they all make a system. The Vedics have been telling us for a long time, and the Hindu and that everything is a seamless web. Everything is interconnected. We just divide it up and everything, but everything is a seamless web. And we're all involved in this, and we got about, I don't know, we got about 6 billion people. We all come out of a common gene pool 200,000 years ago, heading for 9 billion or so. And what we have to get is appreciations. There's a danger, it seems to me, if we get systems that can do things intellectually or physically that it does not require labor as it has in the past. There's a great danger of if they don't find an economic role or a job or something for people, for the situation for the masses to be even more desperate by people who are serving only the interests of the well-to-do and the already wealthy. Our systems are all set up to make the wealthy more wealthy. That was the tax. We had a $1.7 trillion tax cut that went to the super wealthy in this country, setting a pace for the world. So there's a danger that there will be even less attention paid to the people. but we understand that, like in an organism, all the people matter. There's a thing of justice or elemental justice that has to begin to become more relevant to the human consciousness.
Well,
It seems to me, and what you've been doing and the empathy that you have exhibited over a long life of doing it is really a very, very important lesson that should be picked up by a great number of other people who are trying to say, I'm all right, Jack, don't bother me. Narcissistic egoism is all over the place, but I congratulate you on the impetus that you won your award for.
That's very kind, thank you.
No,
It's
very important.
and not only that,
It's not just do-goodism, it's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, it's just that perhaps somebody looks at me and says, well, I could do that. I could, I always make my children do volunteer work, and I have godchildren that I've raised, and it just becomes a piece of you, and you do once a month activism, you do once, and it doesn't
diminish.
Yeah, and it's just like that. We're all of value, and you don't know that the kid that's in Africa right now, who could be a
great contributor.
That right now is a soldier. They have the young boys being soldiers or whatever, and you don't, or
Awful.
even dying of starvation. You don't know he doesn't have the key to the answer of AIDS. And not that everybody on this earth has to have. I think that's the biggest thing that's happened in America, and it's permeated the world, which is, prove to me you're of value, and then we'll give you something.
Yeah, right.
And only one person can be president. So like in America, for instance, we all grew up thinking, oh, you can be president, you can be president. Oh, come on. Very few people are groomed to take on such an immense and important role as leader of a free world as America. So to make everybody either want to be that, or a basketball player or a football player, it diminuizes. What if, in France, a father's a baker, his son grows up to be a baker? There's no, what, you don't have a Nike sponsorship? What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm proud to bake bread that feeds the village, and this is it. There doesn't have to be this defending yourself of why you're on this earth.
It's sort of a narcissistic thing, I think. I saw some psychiatrist said that the biggest malady in the United States of America is narcissism, where people are overwhelmingly involved with themselves and the star quality. We look for the star quality of the people who are going to make it's Tiger Woods, not all the golf players. Or in acting, you've got certain stars. And we have that kind of a thing as though that's the way it's supposed to be, and I guess there is some of that, but it's overdone in terms of all the other players who really make up the human scenario.
Exactly, and that was
and not to mention the ecology and the creatures.
Right.
It's important. Increasingly, it's coming to be recognized as such.
Well, that was kind of the key behind launching the music indie style and using the internet was that there's tons of other artists out there. The world's changed a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's tons of new artists coming out there, and what is a financially feasible way for them to present their product? I mean, when the music first launched for myself at the Millennium, in less than 3 weeks, 193 countries had heard it.
Wow. Okay.
So that's
pretty good.
Yeah.
It used to take when George Washington was president of the United States of America. I think it took 2 months for a letter from London to New York. On a clipper ship. And now you push a button and it's in Peking. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's a great and good thing, don't you think? The technology can be liberating of this human...
We have two things going on. We have technology and so much going on that we can be so liberated, and yet by the same token, fall victim of our own...
greed?
Fear. It's all fear.
Yeah.
Constant fear.
Right.
I'm not as pretty as her. Your mind has spent all that time thinking about that, or well, look at this actress or that one, and your mind spends all that time thinking about that.
Am I getting fat? That's a biggie, isn't it? People are all worried about being fat.
Yeah. Well, they are
they're... They are fat. We're getting to be obese, and that kind of thing. But that's because of the insecurity.
Yeah.
And then it's fed into, and the people are meant to feel that way, and people can exercise power over them that way. It's going back to the reptilian core. That's all contained within us, the reptilian core. When we were prey, a good deal of the time when we were on the planet, we were prey. And there's a lot of fears that people can play upon, and people know how to manipulate that politically or otherwise in order to have control over people. it can be pretty nasty when particularly we need to have an empathetic understanding. Let's get something needed, some sort of a change is needed in order to include the masses, don't you think?
A nice wave, you know, to be more aware of, as you're saying, everyone that's involved. It's, and that would be a nice way. We've had Reaganomics. We've had all these things. How nice would that be that the end result of what started that and that separation of I mean, that was really kind of the beginning, probably.
It was the PAPCO. They broke the unions.
Of losing the middle class.
Oh, and losing the middle class. Or using or losing?
Losing.
Losing. I think it's true.
You think? I mean,
you've only got about, if I'm not mistaken, you only got about 9% of the private sector employees are unionized now.
Something like
Unions
that,
are breaking up, so the power's all in the hands of the finance guys.
And the key thing is that anytime somebody says, oh, well, the union's this and that, you know, perhaps in some moments what the union wishes might be extreme by our economic standards of today. However, you need them asking for it so that somebody at Walmart, and we had the grocery clerk strike. And
yeah, you did. That was a big thing in LA, yeah.
And they're not fighting just for them.
No.
Fighting for every person, not only in America, but in the world. We're all interlinked. They have Walmart in China.
That's exactly right.
It's, and they're looking to see how do we treat ourselves. Is that the right? But how we treat
our own others, our own fellows, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's right. And again, not beyond it, but also the creatures and the ecology. How do we treat the earth? How do we have some sense of husbandry, but so that we can take advantage of the technological capability we have to improve the human condition, not destroy each other?
Yeah.
And it's very crucial.
And they don't have to be so. You know, we know so much about the environment that we're able to go, well, wait a minute, we can do things where there stays a balance.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, you know, pillage and take everything. And
as it has been throughout much of the history. And it may be a very positive time, just we got the capability, if they let loose the weapons, they could destroy the whole species. And on the other hand, there might be a side of the capability, which is technology and extension of consciousness, that makes possible a kind of like liberation out of a historical condition which we're emerging, and that's going to be help, and that's going to be achieved maybe only through the full involvement of the full potentiality of all the people of the species, the same way we have 100 trillion cells in a human organism, and they all are healthily needed in order for the system to work, overlaid with design of DNA. So it might be an analogy to where we're going to come into some sort of a new order. It's a very exciting.
We're still alive. The reality is there is that balance going on, and that there is enough. You remember when India, what was it, 3 years ago or whatever, when they had their nuclear tests, and or what was going on? And you know, there is that balance. You know, you've got the Christian rights, you've got the you know, everyone is speaking, and what is everyone speaking is. They all want the right to live humanely. And it would be nice if in that brought maybe a more, not only empathy, but a sense of ethics.
Absolutely.
I don't think it needs to be, you know, I'm obviously, you know, very sensitive to you know, illegal file sharing or something like that, which is a great way to share the music. That's fantastic. But, you know, it's severely affecting. You know, so you have to have ethics built.
Yeah, we do. Empathetic ethics we need, and thank you. It seems to me you've exhibited that after a well-led life. Congratulations on being selected. Thank you for viewing. It's your pleasure to have had the perceptions of Cynthia Basinet, and she's a model, actress, recording artist. We're going to give website information where you can contact her. There's a great deal of information about her. Congratulations, you and the 1,000 women and the people who had the idea and made the idea fly. Pretty cool, as they say. And thanks a lot for coming. Great pleasure. And we invite you. We're coming back again tomorrow, but that's it for now. Once maybe next week. But thanks a lot.